Agriculture is the mainstay of Zimbabwe's economy, contributing approximately 15 to 20% of gross domestic product and 40 to 50% of exports. The sector also provides the main source of livelihoods for 70% of Zimbabwe's population who reside in communal areas. However, unaffordable and unavailable inputs set within the context of unfavorable climatic factors, policy constraints, and the HIV and AIDS epidemic have led to poor yields in the agriculture sector, which have consequently contributed to chronic food insecurity. In response to Zimbabwe's growing food insecurity, the European Union contributed $21.5 million towards agriculture development through a global European Union-funded scheme dubbed the European Union Food Facility, EUFF. The funds are channeled through the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, which coordinates the EU Food Facility, working in partnership with 13 NGOs and the Ministry of Agriculture, Mechanization and Irrigation Development, Department of Agritechs. Head of Delegation of the European Union to Zimbabwe, Ambassador Xavier Marshall, says that this program is part of a wider European Union policy aiming to move Zimbabwe from food aid to food security.
It is considered as in the interest of the European citizen, by the European citizen, to support the small farmers in Zimbabwe. When it comes to food aid and food security, at the beginning of 2002 we focused more on food aid. But since then we have moved more to provide food security as much as possible instead of food aid, because we think that it is better for this country, because we think that the assistance provided under food security is more sustainable and therefore better.
Critical to the success of the EU Food Facility is the coordination of activities, beneficiaries, implementing partners and other stakeholders involved in the project.
FAO plays also a coordination role, which means trying to put together in the same room as many stakeholders as possible, NGOs, government, donors, other UN agencies, private sector companies and research institutes, to discuss issues around agriculture and trying to have a common position and an understanding of what should be done, what should be corrected, what we are doing correctly, and move forward as a team.
Selection of communal areas and individual beneficiaries to assist was done in a way that sought to fill gaps, focusing on areas in need but not assisted by other organizations.
We're looking at households that are vulnerable to food insecurity but also have, for example, adequate labor to be able to utilize the inputs we're giving them. So those were the non-negotiable criteria. And then on the negotiable criteria, we're obviously looking at households that are vulnerable to food insecurity, characterized by a number of indicators like households with chronically ill people, households with members that are disabled, or any other characteristic that might make a household disadvantaged.
In recognition of the fact that HIV and AIDS is both a contributory factor as well as a consequence of food and nutrition insecurity, awareness on the scale of HIV and AIDS and of its implications for food and nutrition security in agriculture was also created through dramas and distribution of pamphlets prior to the distribution of inputs to the beneficiaries. FAO ensured that 26,000 tons of agriculture inputs in the form of seed and fertilizer were transported to warehouses located in the 21 targeted districts, and the beneficiaries received inputs before the onset of the farming season. A total 176,000 vulnerable communal smallholder farmers received packages of either maize or sorghum seed and fertilizer, which enabled them to plant approximately half an hectare. This translates to 15% of the country's communal smallholder farmers.
Ndakakasikira kuwana mbeu ndinosidai nguva ino ndisati ndambodyara mapfunde asi goro rinori atomera mapfunde panguva ino.
Tatoyamurika neupenyu hwatatina kuti asingasvikwanisi saka nzara yange yachingoramba iripo kushaya fertilizer.
Kurima ndinoda chaizvo asi kukundikana pamwe nekutoshaya fertilizer yacho kuhurumende kwakusina chatachipewa.
Kana angave manyowa ngazviiswe pasi munhu.
Input distribution was complemented by consistent, well-coordinated extension services provided by Agritechs to promote good farming practices, particularly timely planting and application of some new farming methods such as conservation agriculture principles and practices. Conservation farming is being promoted because research has shown that the practice has potential to increase yields and productivity for all sizes of farms and agroecological systems. The other reason is that conservation agriculture is environmentally sustainable and involves labor-saving methodologies. Throughout the season, Agritech's officials also visited the farmers to monitor crop progress and offer advice at every stage of crop development. The majority of EU food facility beneficiaries followed technical advice that they received from Agritechs. For some, they're set for a bumper harvest which will make a real difference in their lives.
Ndiri kufara zvokuti nokuda kwokuti mukohwa wacho unenge uripo muri kungozvionawo.
Ndakaisa fertilizer panzvimbo hombe instead yekuti ndiise panzvimbo inokwanirana nefertilizer yacho, asi zvakandiitisa kuti ndiise pahombe inyaya yenzara yanga yatiitisa makore akawanda. Ndakafunga kuti ndikadaro zvinobva zvandiitira kuti ndiwane chibage chakawandisa, nzara yendibuda. Zvino ndangonongo apo nepapo.
Takatonyanyisa kuomerwa nokuda kwokuti mvura yakatokanganisa zvakanyanyisa, nokuti munda chakakwanisa kuibva kakota kemunda 3/4 dzinofanira kutiraramisa hadzina kuita chinhu kwacho.
FAO Crop Officer Felix Jurumi confirmed that the difference in projected harvest is largely attributed to the late and below normal seasonal rainfall received in some parts of the country during the 2009 and 2010 cropping season.
For districts in Natural Region 4, that is Musarabani in the Zambezi Valley, Chivi in Mashingo, parts of Mashingo districts, all those districts, these are low rainfall districts, and in those areas we distributed sorghum. But some good, sort of good to average rainfall districts like Shurugwi, Chirumanzi, we provided them with maize seed. Unfortunately, this year it was one of their worst in terms of rainfall distribution, so their maize crop was severely affected.
The implementation of the EUFF also brought a lifeline to the local seed and fertilizer production companies which were facing viability challenges.
The donor community and FAO have been very supportive of the local industry. I would say that about 13% of Windmill's business this year has been with FAO, which is a significant component of our total business. I can also say that that business has enabled this company to improve capacity utilization by more than 15%. Put another way, effectively we are saying that the business we got from FAO sustained the company and its workers.
Although it might take years for the economy to fully recover, the EUFF demonstrates that with coordinated approaches to agricultural interventions, political will and donor support, Zimbabwe could once again become the breadbasket of Africa.